A shutout in an under-21 game on Friday for Arsenal, but in the end, they did all the damage in the first half. The Gunners winning this one 4-0, and we were all betting to see how many goals Arsenal would score in this one. And in the end, we have to give a round of applause to our Kieran Gibbs because he called it right. Who would have thought it would have stayed at 4-0 after what we saw in the first half? Let's welcome in the other member of our team today, Jan Fjortoft in this one. Jan, we've been talking so much about the magic of the FA Cup, and we have seen some magic follow some other teams like Macclesfield, but there was no chance of that today for Wigan.
No, they were not. And as there was said on air, I mean, after you get 4-0 after 27 minutes, you think, wow, this is going to be one of those days, 8, 9, 10. But this was a great night, a day out for the Wigan fans. There were over 5,000 there. But yes, I love the magic of the FA Cup. I've been fortunate to play in the FA Cup. And we saw the quotes from Pep Guardiola before this weekend talking about this magic of the FA Cup. And thank God it's somehow back, I will say, because the other teams will see that the big trophy, the Premier League, that's going to be shared between Arsenal, hopefully for Arsenal fans, Manchester City and Liverpool the latest years. So this is the easiest, quote, way to get a title when you play in English football.
He can open it up at the drop of a hat, and that's what we want to see more of, week in, week out. That's what he's there for, and that's the quality that he has.
Stevie, you wanted to see exactly this from Eze. He may not have gotten the goal, but still, again, reminded us all what he's capable of.
Yeah, listen, you want to see good players showing what they've got in the locker, and there's nothing more enjoyable than sitting back in your chair, watching the screen and watching a guy giving the eyes, putting a world-class ball in behind, the perfect weight, and making it easy for Madueke in so many ways. So yeah, you like to see players playing well and creating, and unfortunately he didn't score, but he pretty much did every other thing. Couldn't really ask for too much more.
And Jan, what did you make of Eberechi Eze as well? Because we were speaking in the pre-show that this night was really for him to kind of silence any critics, although, I mean, those critics would have been pretty harsh, but just the fact that he's gone on a bit of a goal drought. The last time, though, that he did score, it was a hat-trick in the North London derby, so a good place to leave off. But after he got that, we thought we would see a lot more.
You're forgetting something.
What?
You're going to upset, Jan.
Oh, I know.
Odegaard's getting pushed out.
I know. Don't worry, we'll get to that. But even Jan appreciates great, beautiful, creative football. Right, Jan? You would have loved to play with Eze.
I admire beauty, absolutely. And you saw some great runs today from the offensive player by Arsenal, and Eze was a perfect man to take those runs, take advantage of them. I think that this game again, they were talking about in the com about the fantastic stats of Arsenal Football Club in cup competition. 14 games, 13 of them won, and one draw was against Crystal Palace, and they won on penalties. So they just show you, I mean, when we're talking about class players, they have to take their chance against Wigan. I will say like this, Arsenal is the best team in England this year. I'm not sure they win the Premier League, but they are the best team. And there's a lot of metric of why I feel that we can take that later. But you know that broad squad, they can put people in, they can put people out. There's always new tools for Arsenal to use in those games. And I think that the attitude of Arsenal today was brilliantly. We've all been around in some of these games when you underestimate teams that you play, but they came out there, great runs, and it's I mean the critics, they can't like beauty. Eze is a fantastic player to watch.
Yeah, well, Kieran, I want to talk about the two big men up front, or whether or not, because you did say something interesting when we were watching this game, and you were saying, you know what, I kind of like the look of Gabriel Jesus and Gyökeres playing. We don't think that will happen, but if you had to choose, or who should be the first choice of Arsenal, who would it be?
It's a tough question. But I feel like Don alluded to it quite well in the comms as well, where he mentioned that Arteta doesn't really have his perfect 11, and I agree. I think you need to be adaptable these days. Different opponents pose different threats, and it's just good that they have a variety of striker to pick from. When Gyökeres is off the boil, imagine having someone like Jesus to come in and take his position, who offers something different. He can threaten him behind a little bit more. His hold-up play is good, even for a shorter guy, and his finishing was there to see today. I think most importantly, does he have a variety of strikers to pick from? Because that's what you're going to need in this running, and you're going to have to be ruthless. Whoever's not performing at this point of the season, you got to come out. And I think that is what Mikel has probably learned from over the last couple of years. I think he's making more tough decisions now this season, where I think his seasons before he may have gone a little bit more with his heart, and I think now he's been a little bit more pragmatic in his selection. But he has such a deep squad to pick from. I think it's a good problem to have.
So you're Arsenal coach for a day, right? Would you rather have 3 guys and you're not sure which one to play, or would you rather have one of them who's banging goals in left, right, and centre? Which one do you want? You can only have one. Do you want the 25, 30 goals a season striker, or do you want 3 guys like that you can probably play either or any one of them and get the same thing out of them?
I think history would show that you want the first one. You want a striker that is going to be getting you plus 20 goals a season. Every time you see a championship winning side, there's always a striker in there that has one of those seasons.
A tried and true.
Yeah.
Who's your pick? Did you say your pick?
Well, they don't have one. The reason I was asking Kieran is because he's an Arsenal man. We can sit here and this is what I would like, but when it's your team, then you get to the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I'm the same. I would prefer to have, this is my guy, but I can use the other 2. Not, well, it doesn't matter which one I put in. I'm kind of getting the same. That's a little negative for me.
Jan, what do you make of this situation that Mikel Arteta has on his hands, and who would your pick be?
Well, it's a very interesting discussion because we have that, because we say maybe it's an advantage for Arsenal to have a lot of players who can score goals. The problem is for Arsenal, when we come into the decisive months now, it's not only that they missed the 20-plus striker, they are missing the guy who scored the 1-0s, the 2-1s, the 3-2 at the end, because they don't have the natural great goal scorer. I've been fortunate to follow Gyökeres the last couple of weeks, and I saw when he came on against Sunderland. I talked to him after the game, and you could just see the relief. And don't tell him that he has scored 7 this season. Tell him that he scored 13, because he live and die from goals. And also the credibility he's got in the team, because, yes, a team will always say, it doesn't matter who scored the goals. Well, it matters when it comes to winning the big trophies, because then you need the best strikers to score your winners. And Arsenal don't have them at that moment. And that is a small disadvantage for them if you compare them with Bayern Munich in the Champions League, or you compare them with Haaland and Manchester City in the Premier League.
That even though everything has been going well for Arsenal, we see the creativity, we see different names amongst the goal scorers. Just to have that man like a Haaland, like a Harry Kane, that's your tried and true, that will always get those little 1-0s.
I think it's a cause for concern. I think overall the game is evolving, and we are in a different era, and it is centred around, I mentioned earlier, it's centred around structure, it's centred around defensive organisation and territory, and that is what has gotten Arsenal into this position. That's why they're at the top of the Champions League, and that's why they're at the top of the Premier League. And I think that we can be critical that they are lacking creativity. But if you look across the board, set piece numbers are up. Number 9 striker goals are down. You've got teams that get back into their compact shape much quicker these days. And so these statistics show you that the game has entered a new era. And I think that that's why players like Gyökeres and Eze, I think sometimes they get personally criticised. But actually, I think subconsciously it's the game getting criticised, because the game is changing. And so it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Of course, listen, you want your strikers to score goals. You want your number 10s to create chances. But at the end of the day, Mikel has a formula. And at the moment, it's working. So, whilst people say he's got to take more risk, it's easier saying that. But if you're sat at the top of the Prem and the top of the Champions League in late February, it's kind of one of them where it is a
They're
little
doing
bit
something right.
difficult. They're doing something right,
It ain't
exactly.
broke.
You're doing
It ain't
something
broke.
So
right.
it's tough. It's it's a tough one.
Yeah, and I think I saw you shaking your head.
No, not shaking your head is interesting. Absolutely. This is a part of the evolution in football. Absolutely. But I think what you will find the last 5 years, all the teams that have won something, they've had a top number 9, a top match winner. I think all teams have that in common. They've taken the big trophies. Having said that, we also know what history has learned us. If Arteta wins with this team, then we'll in the summer say, yeah, we are what Kieran is saying. Yes, it has changed. And I think that the great advantage for Arsenal this season is in their toolbox, there's so many different tools. Because the disadvantage for a team like Manchester City, of course, if Erling Haaland stops scoring goals, where do they take the goals from? That is the advantage for Arsenal Football Club. But it's all about trophies. We're getting into March, April, May. Those are the golden months. Nobody will ask you where you were in February then.
Stevie?
He's absolutely 100% right. Nobody cares or remembers who's second. We only remember who sat right at the top of the tree.
And at the moment, that is Arsenal indeed. All right, well, they got the job done in the FA Cup for this round, and now I'm sure they'll be turning their attention back to the Premier League title race. These are the odds. Manchester City definitely hot on the Gunners' trail. 4 points separating these two. And yesterday, Kieran, Tijani Reinders said that City are on the hunt for Arsenal, and we keep talking about how it's always easier to chase than it is to lead, especially when you're coming from a Manchester City that has chased down Arsenal before. So what do you make of what Reinders had to say, and who are Arsenal still your favourites to get this done?
It sounds very personal, doesn't it? Saying that he's chasing Arsenal.
Hunting, he said.
Hunting, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's hunting the Premier League, right? It doesn't matter who's in front. And yeah, they've done well to get themselves in this position. I think across the board in the Premier League, you know, no one's really lifted trees this season. There's inconsistency across the board, and so it is, for me, it's going to come down to, you know, probably the last 1 or 2 games, I reckon. I think City are going to drop points, but there's a case to be made that Arsenal will as well. I think what gives me confidence in Arsenal this season is that every time they have had a setback or they've had a heavy doubt and high criticism, they've bounced back. They've bounced back every single time. They lost to Man United, they bounced back immediately and put in a run. They lost to Villa and they put on a run. And I think in previous seasons, when they have been beat, they've let that drag for 2 or 3 games. And
it's like a hangover.
And they're shaking off those hangovers quicker. And they're just tough to beat. They're tough to beat. They might have picked up 1 or 2 too many draws, more than they have liked, but they very rarely get beat. They've got the best back 4 in Europe, and they've got the best holding midfielder in my opinion in Europe. So they have a stronger platform for me this season to go all the way.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the title race, would you rather be in Manchester City's situation?
No, I will absolutely be with Arsenal because they're leading. And I went to 2 of their away games. They went to Everton, won 1-0. They went to Leeds. Everybody said that's going to be a very difficult game for them. They were fantastic, solid. I mean, Leeds in the first half didn't have a shot on target. They went in the box of Arsenal. So if you go through the parts of the department, the goalkeepers, you can say, is a draw. Donnarumma, Raya is doing fantastic. Defensively, absolutely advantage Arsenal. Midfield, advantage Arsenal. Scoring goals, advantage City. The only where you can say that City are ahead of Arsenal Football Club is a manager who is a serial winner. And Arteta is not. And he has need to have that first big trophy. And then in terms of winning culture, because again, Arsenal, you just feel it's easiest to knock them a bit down, but I think they're very, very solid. So I will absolutely stay with Arsenal Football Club because I think, as Kieran was saying, I think this season I haven't seen them as strong and with a broad of qualities that can win them games in some kind of way.
Well, as we just saw, a big win for Arsenal in the FA Cup over Wigan. Our Archie Rintut managed to catch up with Christian Norgard.
Here we go. Alexis, thank you very much. Christian, congratulations on the win. How did you see the performance of the team today? To be 4-0 up inside half an hour, the game was under control very early on.
Yeah, it was. It's easy to drop focus then. And I thought we did a little bit towards the end of the first half where we gave a big chance away, where Kepa saves us. But then in general, I thought the second half, I know we were not firing the same way as the first half, but I think we controlled and managed the game really well. We didn't give away anything in the second half, and we still had chances to score even more.
Wigan didn't have a shot in the second half. Could you talk to me about the importance of keeping that intensity? I saw you consistently having conversations throughout.
Yeah, it's easy, I think, normally to maybe shut a little bit down once you had the feeling that the game is won. But we've seen so many times in football that the game is not done until the end, and therefore trying to communicate, trying to make everyone aware of their roles just keeps everything ticking, also when a game seems to be over.
Playing for Arsenal comes with pressures of not just winning every game, but performing in every game. Eberechi Eze has had, by his high standards, a bit of a dry spell. Good for him to get 2 assists today as well?
Yeah, amazing for him. We all know what a brilliant player he is, and he's also shown it in bigger games than this. And you know, it's like a roller coaster career of a player, and also a season for a player. There will be ups and downs, but the most amazing thing with Ebbs is that he stays leveled no matter the praise or the criticism, and he keeps grinding, he keeps working hard every day. He's such a humble guy, so he's one of them. You want him to do well in every game.
Because how difficult is that for someone like him who has been on the highest of highs last year with scoring the winning goal in an FA Cup final and then a hat-trick in the North London derby? It must be difficult to stay level with all that.
Yeah, but he's managing to do that. So he makes it look effortless, he's really good at shutting down whatever's been said about him outside the training ground and our changing room. So credit to him. I know it's not easy, but he makes it look easy.
Just a word on yourself. I noticed throughout the game the way that you were communicating with teammates, whether it was Marley Salmon when he came on, whether it was just telling players to just, with Gabriel Martinelli, for example, that, look, I spotted your run, next time. Can you talk to me about how important it is for you to try and recognise your teammates at different moments?
Yeah, I think it's those small relations that you try to build them every day, and sometimes on the pitch is even easier to you can make it even stronger. So I know when Martinelli makes it right and he doesn't get something inside him, it will be disappointed, and that's just making him aware that I did see it, and next time you're gonna get it, and then I know he's motivated, and the next time he made the run, he got it, and it's those sort of relationships you're trying to build up as a player, and I enjoy that role.
Just finally, with all the games to come, this is why you joined Arsenal. You must be buzzing, excited for all these challenges that are ahead.
Well, you say all the right words. I am buzzing. I'm really excited. I love being here. There's not been any frustrations on my side. It's a privilege to be here, and I really think that we can keep competing in all the tournaments that we are right now, because the strength of the squad, the depth of the squad is really big.
Christian, thanks for your time. Cheers.
Welcome. Thank you.
What did you make of what Christian had to say? Sounds like right headspace.
Yeah, I love his professionalism. You need those kind of characters in the dressing room. They give you balance, they give you calm, and they give you commitment. You know, you can tell that he feels blessed to be wearing the shirt. That will please the manager, the fans, the board. And yes, he might not get as many minutes as he would like, but every time he steps on the pitch, you can tell that he's been training hard, he's been eating right, living right, and he takes nothing for granted. That is a manager's dream, and I'm sure Mikel will love having him in the dressing room.
Stevie, you agree?
He's in the terms of the depth chart for their squad. That guy we just listened to is probably in about 23rd position. And listen to how he speaks.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's delighted to be there. He loves it. You can clearly see they all get... I mean, it's just...
Everyone's on the same page.
Oh, for a coach, it's absolutely fantastic. A guy, as I said, a guy who in the depth charts is you can barely see him. and he's loving life.
And you put that down to Arteta?
Absolutely.